Hello, dear one. Motivation with Ankur welcomes you to this amazing video. Thank you for your decision of watching the same. Well, this entire video is about mental health awareness. Mental health has never been a topic as important before as it is now these days. And why wouldn't it be? After all, it is one of the most integral component of an individual's well-being. An individual's well-being is not just decided by how healthy and fit is his physical body, but in fact also from how fit and healthy is his mental health. But what exactly is mental health? What are the issues and concerns related to mental health? And how do we take care of the mental health? These are the questions which rarely people pay attention to. In this video, we will try and answer some of these questions to some of the basic level. So are you excited? Well. Have you been thinking that you will just sit and watch this video? No, it is not going to be like that, because this video will need you to do something more than just watching and listening. So we encourage you to sit with a notebook and a pen along with you, and wherever we tell you to pause the video, please do the same and write your responses. So here is the first activity, the brainstorming time. We will be carrying you through a couple of questions. You should pause the video after every question and try to note down the answer of the same in the best possible way you can. So the first question is, what do you understand by the term mental health? When you hear about the term mental health, what all does come to your mind? It could be some words, it could be some statements, it could be anything. Just pause this video now and write down your responses. We hope that you have written the answer to the previous question. Let's continue with the brainstorming time. So, if the diseases are to be categorized as A. Cardiovascular diseases, B. Respiratory diseases, C. Cancer, D. Diabetes, E. Mental health problems or illnesses, what would be the estimate percentage of people affected by these diseases? So you have to think about a rough estimate, a rough percentage, which would represent these diseases. So you can pause the video now and think about the same and just give your gut feeling about the percentages of these diseases affecting the people. So we hope you are done with the second question as well. Here is the third question of brainstorming time for you. What percentage of world's population receive or go for the treatment of mental health conditions? So, if there are people who are suffering from mental health concerns or issues, what percentage of world's population, how many people out of those actually receive or go for treatment of mental health conditions? What is your feeling about it? So I elaborated saying, so for example, if there are 100 people who actually have some mental health concerns, how many people actually seek help? How many people are actually able to receive some sort of assistance around their concerns? What do you think? What this percentage could be? So all these questions of brainstorming time were actually related to mental health. Yes? So let us see how complete is our knowledge with respect to mental health. Before we discuss the answers to the previous questions, let us understand what are we here for. Well, we are here to boost our MHL. Now what does MHL mean? MHL stands for mental health literacy. Like there are different types of literacies: critical literacy, digital literacy, media literacy, etc. We have mental health literacy. That is how much one knows about mental health, how much is one aware about mental health. So mental health literacy comprises of the following four components. 1. understand how to obtain and maintain a good mental health. Yeah. So understanding that how can we achieve that state of good mental health, and then how can we maintain it. Second is understand and identify mental illnesses and their treatments. Second component is to understand the different kind of mental concerns that may be associated, and then how do we go ahead with the treatment of the same. Third is decreasing the stigma. Now, mental health is a taboo. Not many people talk about it. Not many people consider as a real stuff, and there are so many other misconceptions and myths concerned with mental health. So decreasing that kind of stigma is the third component of mental health literacy. Fourth is enhance help seeking efficacy. Know where and when to go, know what to expect when you get there, and know how to proactively work for our mental health. Now, increasing the help seeking attitude, boosting the help seeking attitude. Now, if somebody has some mental concern, where should he go, what should he expect there, and even when somebody is not having any mental health concern, how should one be proactively working to achieve good standards of mental health. So this is all what mental health literacy consists of. So the first question that was asked from you was, what is mental health? Let us now discover the real answer to the same. So the World Health Organization, that is WHO, defines mental health as a state of well-being in which, one, every individual realizes his or her own potential. So that is the first characteristic. So mental health is, considered like somebody suffering from depression, somebody suffering from frustration, somebody suffering from this and that. There are a whole lot of assumptions and concepts about mental health. But even if an individual is not knowing about his or her real absolute potential, that is also a mental health concern. Because mental health is a state of well-being where every individual realizes his or her own potential. Second, can cope with the normal stresses of the life. Now, normal stresses become day-to-day part of our life. Every time, here and then, now and then, we come across situations which are stressful. So, the individual is capable of coping with the normal stresses, right? Third is can work productively and fruitfully. So, when he is working, he is able to work with a good level of productivity, good level of efficiency. He is working fruitfully. He is able to do that. So, this is also the component of the mental well-being, that is the mental health, right? So it's not always when one is suffering from depression, one is having a mental health concern. Only when one is frustrated or anxious, one is having the mental health concern. So somebody is not realizing his or her own potential, if is not able to generate efficient results. So it could have its roots in his mental health. Yeah. The fourth point of definition is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Now, very important, because a state of well-being where an individual is also adding something to his ecosystem, is also adding something to his environment, is a perfect state to be in, is a state which reflects, which highlights, which symbolizes a very strong mental health. Because only the individuals who are strong in the mental health can think of contributing back to the society. Now, this is not a hypothetical definition. This is a definition listed by WHO. So these are the four components of an individual. These are the four properties of an individual who is having a strong mental health. One, he is able to realize his or her potential. He is very much particular about his dreams. He knows what he wants to do in his life. Second, he can cope with the normal stresses of life. Third, he can work productively and fruitfully. His work arena is pretty much sound and pretty much full of efficiencies and good results. And fourth, he's able to make a contribution to his or her community. So he's able to add stuff, something valuable to his or her ecosystem. So when a person is exhibiting all these four characteristics, then that is a state of well-being whereby he can call to be having a very strong mental health. Let us now get into the depth of understanding about the mental health. Now, this particular discussion forms the most important component of this video, because here we are going to be coming across the piece of knowledge which we might not have ever heard or known before. So in order to understand the mental health better and deeper, let us take the analogy of physical health, because physical health is very easily understood. Now there are levels of physical health as well. Okay, so the first level of physical health is when the body has no disease whatsoever. The body is perfectly healthy. There is no problem whatsoever. So that is the blue colored state which you can see on the screen. The pyramid is with regards to the mental health, but for some time you forget about what is written on the screen and you just understand the levels and the colors. Okay, so the blue colored zone in the pyramid is actually that zone of your physical health where your body is not having any illness, any disease or anything of that sort. Okay, now comes the next level, which is somewhat magenta or pink, you can say. Now what is this zone representing? So sometimes what happens is our body catches some disease causing organism. Now this disease causing organism is called pathogen in biological terms. Okay, now this pathogen could be bacteria, it could be virus, it could be fungi, whatever it is. So there is some disease causing organism and our body catches that disease causing organism, and what happens is that the moment this pathogen enters into our body, our immunity is put to action. Our immunity steps into action, our white blood cells step into action, and they start fighting with the pathogen. Okay, now this is the level where the pathogens are not able to affect our physical body, because our immunity, our physical immunity is very strong enough to kill these pathogens, to remove these viruses and bacteria or whatever it is from the body. So this is the pink zone of the physical health, where our physical health army, where our physical immunity is strong enough to kill the pathogens, and it happens so that not a single symptom of that disease comes. So it isn't like that the disease didn't enter our body. The disease did enter our body. It did bother our internal system. It did bother our internal body function, but it wasn't so much that it could produce any symptom in the body as such, because the immunity was strong enough and it killed away the germ, the pathogen. Now we move on to the orange zone of the physical health level. Now what is this orange zone? What is this level of physical health? Now sometimes our white blood cells are capable of fighting with the pathogen, with the germ, but it takes some time. It takes some time to fight with them. It takes some time to remove them from the body. It takes some time to kill them completely. Now whatever time is taken during this process, because of the same, what happens is that some sort of symptoms start appearing in the body, right? The fever might rise, we may have a running nose, we may have cough or something of that sort. So some symptoms start appearing. So at this time what we do is we refer to a doctor, we refer to a physician who recommends some set of medicines. And sometimes the medicines that are given to us, especially as in the case of cold or flu, they are not the medicines which attack the pathogen as such. They are the medicines which relieve the aggravated symptoms. They are the medicines which relieve us from the symptoms, because our body is capable enough, our immunity is capable enough to fight with those pathogens, and they will only fight with those pathogens. But the medicines just help us to relieve the symptoms. They help us to control the fever. They help us from this cough and stuff. So they prevent the symptoms. They bring down the symptoms, and then the body continues fighting with the pathogens, and then ultimately after some time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or so, the pathogens are again killed and the body is hale and hearty again. Now that is the third level of physical health, that is the orange zone. Then comes the red zone of the physical health level. Now this is the case or the diseases where our immune system fails to fight with the disease, where the immune system fails to fight with the pathogen, right? Diseases like AIDS, cancer, some very serious disease which could result into this kind of a scenario, that the immune system is not able to fight away with the disease. So this becomes a serious physical concern. Yes, this we all can understand. Now moving on the same lines, let us now understand the mental health in the same connection, in the same relationship. Now here I will use the term mental stressor. So the pathogen there, the disease causing organism there in the physical body for the physical health is the stressor here. Stressor here is something which actually brings about some disturbance in our mental body, some sort of rupture, some sort of disruption in our mental body. So that is a stressor. So pathogen there is a stressor here. Now what happens is, blue zone of the mental health is the zone of no distress, problem or disorder. So that means there is no stressor at all in the mental body. Okay. So I will also use a term which is mental immunity. Mental immunity is our ability to fight with the stressor. Okay? Our ability to fight with the stressor. Now this blue zone is the zone where there is no stressor at all in our mental body. It's completely hale and high. Then the magenta zone. Magenta zone is the zone of the mental health where a stressor enters into our body. It is a normal stressor. Now this is what is called normal stresses. Now these stresses are actually important for us because they somehow form a part of a conditioning system. They somehow form a part of a teaching system. So that's why you must have heard people saying, some sort of stresses actually required to bring out the best of your efficiency, the best of your skills. So this is the level which is actually a good stress or a normal stress. But if and only if your mental immunity is strong enough to kill this stressor on its own without producing any symptom. Okay, so this is the zone when the stressor comes, the mental body does get some unrest, the mental body does get disturbed, the mental body does go haywire a little, but then the mental immunity is strong enough that the stressor is removed or killed or controlled on its own without any serious outcome of the same. So that is mental distress, which is very common, which is very okay, but if and only if the mental immunity is strong enough. Sometimes what happens is that the mental immunity of the person is not very strong, so it might shift into the orange zone. Sometimes the stressor might be too much in magnitude, or it might span over such a long period of time that the situation may shift from magenta zone to the orange zone. Now what is this orange zone exactly? Now this is the zone where the symptoms start appearing. Now the stressor has affected our mental body so much, so badly that symptoms start appearing. Now what are these symptoms? The person starts secluding himself, isolating himself, or the person starts lashing out on everybody around, or the person is just becoming very anxious or is not able to control his emotions or reactions, or is not able to think properly, is not at all able to take decisions. So these are the symptoms which start appearing. He's all the time frustrated, he's all the time stressed, not being able to sleep. So this is the appearing of the symptoms of the mental health problems. So this time what is happening is that the stressor is causing some serious disruption in the mental body. The stressor is causing some serious disturbance in the brain, because of which the symptoms have now started appearing. Now this is the stage which should be taken very, very seriously, whereby some sort of assistance should be taken, like we take in the case of physical health, where the medicines are used to relieve the symptoms. So here the assistance that we take, they don't only relieve the symptoms, but they also work on the stressor, so that the stressor can be eliminated from the mental body, so that the stressor can be eliminated from the brain as well. Now this is the orange zone. Okay. Then the next level of health concern, mental health concern, is the red zone. Now what happens is mental disorder, mental illness. Now the stressor becomes so strong that the symptoms have gone beyond control now. Okay, and it is not at all in the capacity and the ability of the individual himself or herself to control those stressors or the symptoms at all. Now this is where even the medications might be required. This is where will be required in most of the cases, in fact. So whatever panic attacks and chronic depression or sometimes aggravated suicidal tendencies, they all fall in the red zone of the mental health pyramid. Now this is where the assistance, the external assistance, therapies, counseling, medication, etc. for the mental health might be required. Okay, so this is the pyramid. Now we have to understand that these levels, these zones that we talked about, these zones that we discussed, they are not mutually exclusive. So it's not like two zones cannot coexist. A person might be in the mental distress as well as in the stage of mental health problem. Some stressor, because of some stressor he might be in the magenta zone, and because of some stressor he might be in the orange zone. So 2 or 3 levels may coexist one, and there is no sequence. It's not like it will only move in this sequence, that first it will be blue, then it will be magenta, then it will become orange, then it will become red. No, there is no such set sequence for the same. A person might straight away from blue jump into the red. That is also possible. So that becomes very, very, very important to take care of our mental health proactively. So as in the case of physical body, it is very much important, like we have been talking about in the times of COVID, that it is very, very important that if your physical immunity is very strong, COVID will not impact you. Forget about COVID, no pathogen will impact you. So we build our immunity stronger over a period of time. We ensure that our immunity is not being reduced with time, with age, isn't it? Likewise, we also have to ensure that our mental immunity is strengthening over a period of time. That our mental immunity is growing stronger and stronger and stronger over a period of time. Yes, that is what we have to ensure. That kind of steps, that kind of lifestyle, those kind of activities we have to include in our lifestyle, which help us develop and strengthen our mental immunity. Isn't it? So psychology deals with the problems, the disorders, the health problems, the illnesses. But there is a new field emerging now which is called positive psychology. That means what can be done so that the person doesn't shift into that kind of a stage. Like in physical body also, we consider prevention is always better than cure. Yes or no? Likewise, even for the mental health, we should consider prevention mechanism, prevention strategies as better than the cure strategies. We should not wait for something to bother us at the level of mental health to take some important step. Rather, we should be proactively working on our mental health so that we never go beyond the magenta zone. This should be our preparation. This should be our focus. Right? That is the worst problem existing in the society right now, that mental health is not proactively worked upon. Forget about proactively being worked upon. Even when the person is suffering from some mental health problem or disorder or illness, even then he is not taken seriously. But now is the high time, if we want to build a stronger generation, if we want to build the stronger cells, if we want to have a quality relationship life, quality professional life, quality personal life, it is now very, very indispensable that we start taking mental health on priority. We don't work on it only when we face some issue. Rather, we start working on it so that we never face that issue. So, like for the physical body, we have gyms. So once a person is very regular with the gyms, workouts, some physical exercises, he can be very sure that he'll be saved from most diseases, isn't it? So that's the kind of preventive strategy. Not the curative approach, it's the preventive approach. Likewise, if we know something about the mind gym, if we are practicing mind gym, then that means we are adopting the preventive strategy, the preventive approach when it comes to mental health as well. Yes, and that is what we should be taking in consideration. That is what we should be really, really focused about when it comes to mental health. So you were also asked a question around the percentages. You were given a set of diseases and you were told to predict the percentage of people affected by those. So the trend was observed in a specific country, and it was probably Canada. the data belongs to that country. So just for the understanding, we are sharing this with you. So let's have a look at these numbers. Diabetes was 4%, cancer patients were 18%, cardiovascular diseases were 33%, chronic respiratory disease was 10%, mental health concerns were 35%. 35%. That means what? That means we take all other diseases very seriously because they're happening at the physical level, because they're visible. They pose some sort of threats, some physical challenges due to which we are taking them seriously, we start identifying them. But somehow we keep ignoring this large percentage of 35%, which is coming from the mental health problems or concerns or diseases for that matter. Now this also needs to be taken very, very, very seriously, because we have to understand that ultimately this red region of this pie chart only gets converted into cardiovascular, chronic respiratory, diabetes, and many other type of physical diseases. So many a times, in most of the cases, whatever physical ailments we go through, they happen out to be the result of the mental health concerns and problems which we kept ignoring for a long period of time. It is a fact. It is a fact. When an individual keeps ignoring the mental health condition for a long period of time, that ignored mental health condition starts manifesting itself in the physical body as one of these diseases. At least now we should realize the importance of mental health, isn't it? Now there is another surprising number. So you were asked the question, what percentage of world's population receive or go for the treatment of mental health conditions? The answer is between 76% and 85% of the people with severe mental disorders receive no treatment in low and middle income countries. And the percentage is as low as 35% and 50% in high income countries. Only this percentage of people with mental health problems are actually receiving some sort of mental assistance when it comes to mental health. And not a very fancy number for humanity. Let us agree this, let us admit to this, this is not a very fancy number for humanity. Now is the time to bust some myths about mental health. This is something very important now. So the first myth about mental health is that mental health issues are unreal or imaginary. How funny. Just because they are not that visible like the concerns of physical body, what we believe that it is just imaginary, it is something cooked up in somebody's head. Well, that's not justified. Mental health issues are real issues because of some flawed functioning happening in one's brain. We will discuss about this in the video in the upcoming section, but it is actually a concern because something wrong is going on in one's brain, and they are 100% real issues. Second, mental health is a result of laziness. Laziness is in most of the cases the result of mental health and not the vice versa. We think that the person is lazy, that's why he's having the mental health concerns. No, it is the other way around. Chronic laziness, extreme laziness, in most of the cases is because the person is not able to deal something in his head. Third, mental health will never affect me. People love to live in a fool's paradise. We have seen people who are suffering already, still they are in the mode of denial. Why? Because mental health is such a taboo in society, they feel that they will be mocked at, they will be laughed at if they somehow happen to admit that yes, they are struggling with something in their head. They think and feel that they will be judged. They think and feel they'll be cornered. They think and feel that they will not be understood. And that's why even the ones who are suffering, they end up acting like there's nothing wrong with them. And those who have never faced any mental distress or, for that matter, mental health problem, They are in a fool's paradise that mental health will never become a problem with me. I am able to keep myself motivated all the time. I am able to keep myself fit all the time. I would like to highlight here, when it comes to physical body also, I have seen people so nicely taking care of the physical body, so good with exercises and everything, coming across health issues sometimes. It has not always to do with how strong you feel you are. You simply do not know when and how things will turn differently, and how will your physical body or mental body react to it. We may not be 100% able to control everything, but if we work in the right direction with the right attitude, then we can always minimize the damages. We can always come up with and follow the preventive approach, and we can always not take this mental health thing for granted. Every single person without an exception must take this as a priority and must work around his or her mental health. The next myth that needs to be busted is mental illness is a sign of personal weakness. No, again it is vice versa. The person who is struggling, the person who is actually having some sort of mental health problem or an illness, turns out to be a little weak. It's not that you can just sit with them and give them some gyans, give them some airy-fairy knowledge and expect them to feel better, get better. It's not like that. They are not weak due to which they are having the mental illness. So mental illness might just happen, in very peculiar cases, in very unexpected cases, in very unexpected ways. And then the next myth is like treatment for mental illness are common sense and everybody knows what should be done. Everybody here can set up their own counseling centers. Everybody here can become a life coach. Everybody here can become a advisor when it comes to mental health. So that is not that simple. It needs a certain degree of empathy. It needs a certain degree of understanding of human brain and human mind. It needs a certain degree of experience in order to really jump into the personal domain of the person and help them get better when they are actually facing some sort of mental health problem or concerns. And likewise, it also takes a whole lot of experience to train a already fit and healthy person so that he never falls into that kind of a trap or something. Okay. And then another biggest myth is that mental health doesn't need any investment. One should not invest time, effort or money into things concerning mental health, or this is the thing most ignored, and the investment is not made beat of any time. People don't want to invest their times, people don't want to invest their effort or money. But mental health is that basic foundation over which everything else is built. Be it your physical body, be it your career, be it your relationships, be it your success, be it anything. Everything stands on the foundation of your mental health. Now, how come everything of that needed your investment? Your education needs your financial investment. Your many other things need your financial investment. Your relationships need your time and effort investment. How come something on which everything else is standing not need any investment? So this is one of the big time myths that needs to be busted these days. Well, you all know this guy, right? Who is he? He's sitting right there inside your skull, and you're using him to understand whatever we are talking to you right now, isn't it? This is our very dear brain. So now let us talk about why is it important to learn about human brain. So what we have been talking about so far, we have been talking about mental health. So as I said, that mental health is not imaginary. It is just a certain aspect of your physical health whereby your brain is getting impacted, where our brain is facing some sort of challenge. I used the term mental immunity back a couple of minutes back. So what is that mental immunity? It's the ability of a brain to respond to certain situations, stimuli, stressors. That is basically the brain's response. So brain health is actually mental health. That's why it is very important to learn about human brain. We all experience mental distress. That means brain's expected and usual response to the stress of everyday's life. And mental health problems where brain's response to severe or persistent problem. Okay, so a mental disorder or illness in which when brain is not functioning the way it should, leading to significant and persistent problems in one's life. So mental health issue is actually an issue related to brain when the functioning of the brain starts getting affected. In short, it can be said that what we feel, experience is the response of a set communication pattern between the neurons of the brain. Now, if this particular communication pattern is healthy, if it is nurtured positively, if it is cultured consciously, then it's going to be strong. In that case, the mental health is going to be strong. We are going to be feeling calm and peaceful. But instead, if this communication pattern turns out to be negative, if it turns out to be rigid, if it turns out to be, nurtured and cultured very, unknowingly and with being carried away by the set of situations and circumstances, then in that case, the response is going to be very detrimental. It's going to be frustrating us. We are going to be feeling sad, frustrated, upset. So whatever we feel and experience is actually the response of a communication pattern between the neurons of the brain. So if we have to change the way we feel, we'll have to change the way our neurons communicate with each other. Now here comes the term which is called neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity or the brain plasticity is our ability to redefine or restructure these neural networks or the neural patterns. Now, if something that is going on right now, we are not happy with it. If the way we are feeling right now, we are not happy about it. If the circles we are revolving in, we are not happy with it. That means the communication between the neurons needs to be changed. Now, changing this communication pattern between the neurons is what exactly is known as neuroplasticity, is called what? Brain plasticity. So we need to know the techniques, we need to know the tools, we need to master the methods which help us with this neuroplasticity or brain plasticity, and Mind Gym is one such method. So sometimes what happens is that a person gets trapped in the communication pattern of his neurons, and that results into a loop of experiences and emotions which keep repeatedly occurring inside him, right? So what that person needs the most at that point of time is a method of neuroplasticity, a technique of brain plasticity, an assistance around brain plasticity or neuroplasticity. Yes. Now let us understand in such case when he's in a loop of emotions or experiences, what does a person exactly need? So first thing he needs is a persistent new thinking. That means he needs a new perspective. He needs the new ways of looking at his current situation and reality. He needs new way of thinking and the ways to make that new thinking approach a persistent process. If he just thinks of it in a particular way just for once, that's not going to be working. He has to be persistent with his new approach. He has to be persistent with his new perspective. So that is the first thing that he needs. Second is he needs awareness of the current neural patterns. So until and unless the person doesn't become aware of the current neural patterns, how will he or she change it? That's the question. The new thinking will come into picture only once he has become aware of the current flawed neural patterns. Third, what he needs is the new ways of redefining and restructuring those neural patterns. How to restructure, how to redefine, how to recreate those neural patterns. And fourth, he needs is enhanced ability to set up the right communication pattern between our neurons whenever a new scenario comes up. And he should also learn that he fell into the trap of this communication pattern because he didn't have the understanding on how to create the right communication pattern between the neurons when a particular situation comes into life. So if he turns out to be a master of a a process whereby he himself can be so aware and conscious about what kind of communication pattern is being established between his neurons. That means whatever kind of situations might arise, this person will be able to set up the right neural networks in his brain. So in short, the person needs a regular practice of mind gym. Now what is a mind gym? Now in like a physical gym, in other body gyms, what do you have? There are a couple of machines, there are a couple of exercises which when you do, your body starts responding very positively. You start becoming physically fit. Your body starts, becoming hale and hearty. So similarly, mind gym is a collection, is a couple of exercises which when practiced, the old neural patterns they start to restructure, they start to get redefined, they start to get recreated, and the new neural networks are, they start forming up in the right way, so that you are able to take a good and positive care of your mental health. So that exactly what mind gym is. Now mind gym is that proactive approach using which you can work in the direction of proactively taking care of your mental health, on which every other domain and dimension of your life stands. So if we have to conclude what is mind gym exactly, let us try and understand. So whatever role an immunity booster plays for your physical health, for your physical body, right? The same role is played by mind gym for your mental health or mental body. So what does immunity booster do? It makes our physical immunity so strong that whatever might be the disease causing organism or pathogen, our body will be able to handle it. Likewise, mind gym makes our mental immunity so strong. It makes the neural networks of our brain so strong that whatever might be the situation, whatever might be the circumstances, whatever might be the stressors, our mental body, our brain will be able to handle it very efficiently and very effectively. Okay. Ultimately, it's a group of activities, exercises, practices, which can be done daily to boost mental immunity. Yeah. So do you feel interested and do you feel excited to taste some such processes, activities and exercises? Yes? Let me tell you, they're really mind-blowing and that they really help you a lot from deep within. So mind gym is not something which only those people require who are suffering or who are having some sort of mental distress or mental health problems. But in fact, if there is anybody who would love to expand his current level of functioning, if you would love to increase his current level of performance, so for those individuals also, because these exercises, this mind gym brings the best out of you over a period of time. So if you would be interested and if you feel excited to know more about how to learn, where to learn and what are those practices, how to practice, please feel free to write to us at info@motivationwithankur.com, or you can also call us at 89-307-34874 to know how to practice mindset. We look forward to seeing you on the other side of the screen. Take care. And before this video comes to an end, forget not to like, share, subscribe and post your comment to let us know how did you find it. We would love to hear your experiences. It was a wonderful time interacting with you through this video. Thank you so much.